The Super Spotlight series. Today, we have with us our three esteemed members under this series. Now, why we have done this is because these three members were, a constant kind of engaging members with us at Mentor My Board. And with this, I welcome every one of you in this Super Spotlight series where we shine a little light on the remarkable experiences and the expertise that our members or our community members bring together for you. And today we are bringing together these members who have been featured under our member spotlight series earlier, and for them as a unique opportunity to foster the collaboration, to understand each other's dynamics, discussions, and deeper engagements and understanding of the pressing governance issues that we all face together. And at Mentor My Board, we believe that these great insights from industry leaders like all of them, and the growth that happens together when experienced minds come together like this on a common platform and then share their experiences. And this today's session exemplifies that spirit of collective wisdom for each one of us. So we are super excited to delve into a topic of great relevance, which is evolving role of boards in supporting the SMEs and the startups. Now, this topic couldn't be timelier, especially when the rapid shifts we are witnessing in the governance practices, the regulatory expectations that are being led on the independent directors and on the companies as a whole, and the need of the resilience and innovation within these smaller companies. Because as we all know that SMEs and MSMEs constitute to the 7 crore number that we have today. And while these are really important to be digitized, to be taken to the next level, so that the $1 trillion economy dream that we have seen together along with our prime minister would become a reality very soon. And our spotlight today will bring forward the perspectives from NRK Murthy, NRK Murthy, Pallavi Salgarokar, and Nalina, who all bring their own insights into how these boards can play a transformative role in scaling up these SMEs and the startups. And through this session, we aim not only to highlight their journeys, but also to curate the actionable insights for all of us who are passionate about better governance and sustainable business growth. With this, I will hand over this baton to each one of them initially to introduce themselves for a minute or two, and then we take up the questions that our audience has already shared with us. So I'm really very happy to start the session and to flag it off. Pallavi would be happy to know your introduction. Please go ahead and introduce yourself. Pallavi, I cannot hear you clearly.
Sorry, I muted myself.
Sure.
So I'm Pallavi Salgarokar. I'm a chartered accountant, finance director, Private Limited, which is, and I have also founded a bakery chain in Goa, desserts and more. I am also involved in a lot of office bearers position. I was the chairperson of Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry Women's Wing for 4 years, and now I am in the managing committee. Recently, I have taken over as the president of Goa State Lagu Udyog Bharti, which is a association for national body for MSMEs, and I am also involved in SOCHAM. That is, I am the empowerment chair of SOCHAM in Goa. And besides this, I am also involved in other associations like Rotary and some other associations also.
Super. Thank you so much, Pallavi. Over to you, NRK, to take the baton ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Neha. Hello, everybody. My name is NRK Murthy. I'm a BITS Pilani alumni. I have been a technologist since I graduated. I graduated in the year 1992. Worked for companies like Voltas since then, Voltas, Satyam, Infosys, and recently with Deloitte. And during these years, I had the opportunity of traveling across the globe, serving global clients and helping them in their technology-led business transformations. So, name a geography. I have probably gone there serving clients. and look forward to this engaging conversation with Neha and the team here.
Thanks so much. Over to you, Nalina.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Murthy and Pallavi. It was lovely to hear your input and look forward to connecting offline as well. To be here and anything when it is mentioned my board, I'm the first person to say yes, I'm with you all. Neha and Divya are really special friends as well. Apart from being extremely professional and talented, you know, mentors as well. Okay, a quick introduction from my side. Close to 30 years of experience, graduated from XLRI. I'm major in both English literature and in Hindi literature. So I conduct equally sessions, coaching, facilitation in both languages. Um, I currently am part of two types of positions. One is, of course, the Bharti Airtel Group. So I'm an independent director over there. And the other one is coming up very soon, which we are looking at from one of the BNI members. Yeah, I'm a member of BNI, so I on a regular basis meet a lot of the entrepreneurs, and I'm able to value add to their business by virtue of all the training that we've done through Mentor My Board as well. I'm based in Gurgaon. That's a little about me.
Super. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Ravi, who is one of our members, has shared some few questions for each one of you. And even other members from the community have kind of, shared those questions. And I would be super happy to, ask you those questions and would seek your response to it. And my first question is to Pallavi with regards to setting the strategic vision for these companies. Since you have been on so many platforms and you held the leadership roles, and given the current economic landscape that we are currently seeing, right, what do you see as the most critical role that these boards of SMEs and the startups should play in setting the strategic vision? Because these are the two kind of organizations, I would say, the SMEs and the startups, who do not majorly focus on the board in the board's perspective, but they are still running the entire organization. And we've seen so many failures with regards to the startups. So how is it that you look forward to those points or the critical roles that these board members or the founder members of these corporates playing in the strategic vision building for the entire organization?
I think first and foremost, a board should have a vision. So they must basically balance it between ambition and realism. And it's very important to drive your plans for the business, that they must be able to have a vision which is ambitious also and also grounded in reality. So second thing is prioritizing resilience and agility. Today, like we are just 4 years back, we had COVID. So from the time today, we always talk about resilience that include encouraging diversified revenue streams, very good financial planning, and flexible operation structures, because our market is very volatile nowadays. So you must plan that also. Second thing, third thing is digital transformation. There's a lot of digital transformation that is taking over, and you cannot run away from it. It is something which every business must adopt today. And digital tools, data analytics, technology-driven innovation. So these are some things that we must imbibe, and SMEs and MSMEs must imbibe, and startups must adopt it. Also, other thing is supporting sustainable growth and responsible growth. So growth must be aligned to profits. It must also be aligned with social responsibility and environment impact. Today we always talk about ESG. So that is a buzzword today. So that is something SMEs and startups must keep in mind. Data driven decision making. Today there's a lot of impetus. We always concentrate more on data driven. We have got data analytics, we have got other KPIs, like key performance indicators, which we must use to make our decisions. We must also build a long-term brand vision. So when I started out as a founder, basically, it was just something which was out of the blue, and then I found a mentor who told me how important it was to make plans, whether it is 1 year plan, 3 year plan, 5 year plan. Of course, 10 years I feel is too big land time zone, but at least 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, so you can basically make the small plans and work towards a bigger vision. and leveraging networks. So as board members, you can leverage your found networks and partnerships to help SMEs and startups. So that is very important that they do, because there they can provide them access to resources that they don't have already. And financial prudence, today we always talk about SMEs or startups mostly who are burning a lot of cash. So ensuring that there's good cash management, financial prudence is very important, and this is the guidance what the board members can give them. So cash flow is the lifeblood, and it is very important that you spend the cash prudently, and promoting a learning and adaptive culture. So basically, even if you make mistakes, it is not something like the end of the world. You must be able to learn from your mistakes and take a better decision next time. You must be able to document your mistakes, find out what were the fault lines, and then iterate towards a better solution. So these are the some of the things I would like to suggest.
Excellent. Great points.
Wonderful, Pallavi. I think these were really important. And as you rightly mentioned, that you got a mentor initially who could actually guide you, to make those plans, or who could suggest you a few things. That is really critical for all the SMEs and the startups as well, to have that person with you who can guide you wisely. So totally agree to all the points that you mentioned about the data, about IT, about the vision, the mission that is being built up. True, super. My next understanding or my next question is to Nalina, and this is with regards to building the resilience through governance, because governance is one aspect which is at the startup level actually more or less neglected, I would say, or put at the back stage initially. Till the time the company has kind of formed the board and is going towards IPO, governance is one thing which is not actually taken care of with due diligence from the founders. And as SMEs and startups, they often face resource constraint basically, because I mean, due to this fast evolving markets, the demands. So, how could the boards help them building this resilience in the corporates or in the startups?
Sure. Thank you, Neha. Thanks for this opportunity to discuss as well. By the way, there's some buffering noise.
Yeah, so I request others to mute those who are not speaking, so that the
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Am I audible? Okay, good. Yeah, so great points, in fact, great insights from both Mr. Murthy and Ms. Pallavi. I would look at, before I go to the point of resilience, which is very, very crucial in any business, it actually, I would take it from a quick run through is, having a certain sense of purpose in why are you doing this business and who do you want to serve, because the whole piece will come in actually for SMEs in particular. It is more heart driven than the left brain driven, because you want to serve a certain community and you want to say make them successful in the manner that they would choose to do. So that's a very important piece where the mentor's role is to suggest and step back and not insist that they should be doing what's on our mind, because our vision purpose could be very different from theirs. The second thing is the entrepreneur tends to bring their own perspective into how they build the culture. I think it's very important to include the team as well to together define what the culture processes and approach to market should be. Ultimately, each one needs to be carrying that own sense of responsibility into the growth of the business, and not just leave it to the entrepreneur. In fact, the entrepreneur would largely look for actually critical feedback from the team, and that's very important to also accept it in the way it is received by them. The third thing which I have started doing, and I also am part of a large network of business entrepreneurs, so it is very, very important to also know how to go approach the market at some point in time, if whether it's looking for funding or raising capital in some other manner, or expanding into different geographies. So I'm actually starting to do some of the services like the pitch deck. And the pitch deck is an excuse, of course, of a template, but more importantly, for them to clarify their thought process. How do they want to see their business 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? So that perspective building and working in the reverse is a very important way of approaching your business. That's my two.
Wonderful. I think these are really key points that a lot of businesses fail or maybe miss taking into consideration. Uh, NRK, my next question to you is with regards to the culture of accountability and transparency. Because with the IT playing a very critical role in today's business landscape, the culture of accountability, transparency is really very essential for both in terms of cybersecurity as well and in terms of operational efficiencies for these startups and SMEs, MSMEs as well. And how can the boards leverage the IT governance, possibly to embed these values within a small company so that we say that, when the company grows bigger, the values are already set right from the beginning and it has kind of no deviations to the policies that are being set then. So that, so what are those specific challenges that they might encounter in doing this process, possibly?
Sure. Sure, Neha. So before I go answer the question, Neha, SMEs, if you look at SMEs, put things in perspective, they grow typically in 5 stages, right? And that every stage of the SME development has its own set of unique characteristics, challenges, and milestones. So these stages essentially are so because the answer that I'm going to give to the question essentially is going to be differing by the stage, by the phase in which the SME is in right now. So its existence at the beginning of the SME startup phase or the startup phase itself, survival, then success, and then taking off, and then maturity. Right, these 5 stages. So there is no one size fits all, for an SME, and the any IT governance, imperatives or any IT governance framework, has to be fine tuned to the SME, going by the phase at which it is in at that point in time, right?
Very true.
it,
Very
it it cannot be that you put in a white elephant into the room, and then ask the management of the leadership team at the SME to follow that entire framework, and that will actually the SME will bury itself under the burden of the framework, right? So what is important at the beginning of the SME initial phase, which is starting up, you're kicking off the business processes, differs from how and what needs to be done in terms of IT governance in the second stage of growth, which is survival. And it differs from what happens to the SME in the third phase, which is you're seeing a lot of successes, right? A lot of small little successes, and the low hanging fruits, you're plucking them, and then there is a huge takeoff, and then subsequently the company gets to a maturity stage, right? So net you cannot actually go put together a framework, or put together a framework that a large organization typically is comfortable with, and apply the same lens on a small SME, right? Therefore, you have frameworks like there is this institute called IT Governance Institute, IGI, right? Which is typically all about establishing frameworks for IT governance that can be leveraged as is, right? There are a lot of companies across the globe that have used COBIT, one of the framework, control objectives by IT, one of the framework from IGI, and have gained significant benefits and advantages. Now if you ask a SME to actually go follow COBIT as is, it is impossible for the SME to actually concentrate, go into the market, capture the market, uh, develop the product, and so on and so forth. So what needs to be done has to be tailored, custom made, or customized, for the SME, depending upon the maturity level at which it is in, right? And there are of course the smaller versions of COBIT, but again you have to be very very selective as to what can be implemented at what point in time before you actually take up the bigger picture into a deployment. So having said that, the board has a very important role to determine what needs to be done and at what time at what point in time, right? So they are going to be the map, the GPS, for the SME, and they would say this is we will certainly not shun the IT governance part of it. We will get the IT governance deployed, but to an extent that it is relevant to the SME at that point in time.
Superb. I think the relevance is the very important key aspect that you've brought into consideration. And you rightly mentioned that one size fits all doesn't work with SMEs and MSMEs.
And I'll just summarize this. So you should be looking at the critical to quality business functions. We call that as CTQ business functions. What is critical to quality to me at this point in time. May not be a critical to quality requirement at a later point in time. So it's
Very
important for the board to actually carve out CTQ, critical to quality business functions, and enable IT governance framework for those functions rather than burdening the entire SME, with a lot of weight, coming from the IT governance frameworks.
super, super. Perfect, I think. Pallavi, my next question to you is about balancing the innovation because startups, because MSMEs are quite into kind of, experimenting a lot of things. So innovation is a part of those SMEs and MSMEs, right? And one of the exciting yet challenging parts of supporting these SMEs and startups is to foster the innovation while managing the risks as well, right? So how do you recommend, the promoters or the leaders of these organizations to strike this balance effectively and efficiently?
Today's world, I feel if you don't innovate, then you will not survive only, because we have seen a lot of
Exactly.
companies like Blackberries and other companies which have not innovated and which have been lost, which we don't exist anymore. So it is very
True.
important, especially if you're a SME or startup, you keep innovating. Even in my own business, I have to keep on innovating. So one thing about balancing innovation with risk, I would say, is to do small pilot projects first. See how it works, and if it works, then you do the whole thing together and you take on bigger projects. Second thing is define how much risk you are willing to take. Like I am little bit conservative in my own business. I wouldn't go for the big ticket risk, but there's some people who will go for the big ticket risk. So decide, the founders or the board members must decide how much risk appetite they have and how much risk they would be willing to take.
True.
Second, data driven. Today's world is data driven. For or even innovation, also we can use data driven decisions to decide how much. For example, for evaluating key metrics is like market demand, customer preferences, cost benefit ratio. These are all these data analytics which are available to us, which we must use for our innovation based decisions. Another thing is that projects, I believe, must it's better to break down projects into smaller projects and then see how it works, and then you do the whole thing together. So I don't know. So basically, you just break down. If you have one big thing, one big project in mind, you break down the smaller projects, try it first how it works, and then you can see what works, and then do the whole thing together. One more thing, in today's world, it is a networking world where you meet a lot of people. So it is very important to have partnerships who share the risk and accelerate learnings. Like you can partner with research organizations, you can partner with innovation hubs, you can partner with other companies. So it is better to collaborate and do things together to innovate. Another thing is balance portfolio. Have a balanced portfolio of innovation tactics. Like you can have some high risk ones and some low risk ones and balance them together. I normally, as a founder, I normally have a conservative approach, but some of them go for high risk ones. So it depends from founder to founder. There was recently somebody who visited us who was a risk review person. So there was one consultant I never heard before. So he said that we risk review a business in terms of operational capacities, in terms of finance, in terms of regulatory approvals, reputational risk. So and then he will do this risk review report, and this was something which I've never heard of. So this is an ongoing project in a factory right now. So this kind of reports also help you to decide and to go at how much innovation, how much risk you take in your business. Like earlier, I have already said that failures are the paths to success. If one project has not worked, it is not that it is the end of the world. It is a learning stepping stone where we can move on to other projects also. Second, so he only suggested to me something. This is a new thing actually. Ki allocate a budget for high risk projects. So he said we allocate everything, our budget to everything in a business. So if something is high risk, then you can allocate a budget to it. That is what he suggested to me. And this is something new I had heard. And there's, one more thing is that whenever you decide on something, it's important that the founders and the board brainstorm and see and study different scenarios. Like this may happen. What if this doesn't work? If this works, so you study different scenarios, and then that will help you to take a decision and also help you to innovate. And lastly, I've already said before that one more thing is that mentorship. Today, all of us require mentorship, especially startups and MSMEs. So it's very important that you have good, valuable board members who will be able to give you good mentorship and handhold you if required. So that is all from me.
Thank you, Pallavi. It was really wonderful. And I agree and acknowledge to whatever you've said, with the terms being that, people need those kind of hand holding, people need those expert guidance when they have to take those decisions in their businesses. And while as a leader or as a promoter of the company, while you might be personally, maybe, you might be a little safer in taking risks, but how is it that you develop a team under you who can kind of, a little maybe push you, or a little maybe be with you during taking those bold decisions? And that brings to my next question to you, Nalina, is about the role in the talent development and the role of, the founders, the leaders, or the promoters in retaining or the retention of these talent pool that they have created, by finding and keeping the right talent, which is often, a top priority for the growth of these SMEs and MSMEs. So
Very
in what ways can the boards assist in the talent development and the retention strategies? So if you could highlight something on that.
Sure, absolutely. In fact, this is the heart of the entire business that one would set up, because we may be very good at creating structures, processes, getting in the money, but then unless there's engagement in the team, it could either fall flat, or people could exit very quickly, get poached more like, because if they are already working with a startup, then they know the ambiguity of a situation and relatively learn how to deal with it. So that's something it's very critical. So deepening the culture in the organization is a very critical piece. And very importantly, in fact, I listed it as three P's, and of course there are several variations of three P's. But mine are: one is prioritization. Ask each person personally what is, what inspires you the most, and what would you like to take up and do. Because once it's made an offer like that to them, it is actually, then they are self-driven. And the fact that they would consider each of us as the seniors, since we also manage the businesses, to give them a free way to do that. I've seen very often, even when I was doing my own, I was running an office on behalf of another firm. I just told my team, you tell me what you want to do. We'll build a framework around that, and you deploy and deliver to that. In fact, the results was absolutely superlative, much more than what I would have actually asked them to do. So
Wonderful.
that's the first one.
Inclusive development, what you say, right?
Completely, including building the business plan is collectively. What do you think we should do, and quarter wise also what should be the priority? I used to run an executive search business for more than 5 years. So one of the large frame of references is that one.
Wonderful.
So one in the prioritization, participation, and profitability. I think that kind of both of you touched upon it. So I had put it down as the three P's to reckon. And the other important thing in an SME business is also the role of the promoter should be as someone who's a buffer rather than taking everything, leading everything. The more we empower the team and let them actually represent the business on our behalf, we really know two things. One is they have understood the business. Second, they're taking the responsibility of positioning it to a stakeholder. So, in other words, it is the whole team is required. The whole business is like a jigsaw puzzle. You put all the pieces together, you see something beautiful emerging. If even one piece is lost, then the puzzle has no value anymore. So that's my two bits.
Super. Thank you so much, Nalina. NRK, I want to understand from you, since you have been in the technology, since you have been seeing evolving technologies that are coming and being redundant also very fast, right? So we do not use the same technologies for over the years now as we used to do in the past. How is it that you see the role of the senior leaders or the senior members in the board of an organization passing on the baton to the next generation, and how are those transitions taking place in the boardrooms? What has been your take and what has been your understanding on that?
Right. Essentially, Neha, the board has to be has to move out of their advisory, or just the I advise, I do strategy, and then you guys run the show, right? The leadership team at the company. But I think the boards have started to actually take a lot of responsibility. They've become very, very core to implementing the strategy going forward, right? Particularly with respect to SMEs and even large organizations, boards have been part and parcel of strategy formulation, and of course deploying the strategy in terms of the operational efficiencies, and deploying technology, what technology needs to be enabled, what technology needs to be deployed to ensure that these operational efficiencies that the board is putting together are enabled through technology, right? And some of these are actually not just medium term, short term, medium term, but they are, some of these technology initiatives are going to be long term initiatives, right? So the board, at the end of the day, board has got a limited time frame, right? So they live there in the company for probably 5 years, or maybe another 10 years, another 5 years, 10 years at max, and the board continues to rotate. So in that kind of a situation, so what is important is, for any technology deployment or any initiative that does transformations of businesses, need to be process dependent, and not person dependent.
So important and so crucial.
you
Yes.
cannot have you cannot have somebody sitting in the board have all the knowledge, or somebody at the CEO level have all the knowledge, and then they retire, they move on, they rotate out. So it's important for these technology and the processes that these technologies enable, not to be completely process oriented, process dependent, right? And not person dependent. That's one, right? And everything has got to be, of course, everything has got to be documented. Any process, any change, any efficiencies that you are bringing in place, has to be, if you are talking of the value, at the end of the day, what value am I adding to the company, or a particular technology initiative or a business process re-engineering initiative is adding to the company. So there has to be a value map that the company has to create, right? The value map it could be, if I'm doing some changes to the business processes in manufacturing, or if I'm doing some changes to how I am acquiring new customers, right? So all of that has to be documented. And if I tweak some lever here and there, how and what kind of benefits is that tweaking going to accrue to the company. So all of this needs to be public knowledge in the company, right? And shared across the company, either through roadshows or through a roundtable conferences across. It could be in India, or companies that are outside of that operate globally. So it is very, very important to actually ensure that everybody has requisite knowledge as to what is going on, and if I have to play a role, right, in those initiatives, business process re-engineering initiatives, or transformation, technology led transformation initiatives, what is it that I'm actually going to play a role, right? And my subsequently, when I rotate out, somebody who is coming in should be able to actually run with it without much of a hassle.
Wonderful. So it must be more kind of process driven and documented as well, so that there are no hassles, there are no kind of, leaking
Absolutely.
of it.
Absolutely. And you need to actually take a stock of how things are going. If I've set together a particular goal to achieve in the next 3 years, right? So by doing some such technology initiative, have I achieved the goal or not, or is there a need for me to actually tweak or retweak, redo some of what I've been doing for the last 3 years? So that alignment to the overall goal, company goal, has to be extremely important.
Perfect. Alignment along with the review as well, so that you are on page. Wonderful. So, last pointers of thought, if you want to share any, Pallavi, if you want to share any golden nuggets from your side for the SME, MSME leaders, promoters, directors, anything from your side. Pallavi?
Yeah, yeah. Can you ask the question? Well, I just lost my connection here.
Yeah, I said any last pointers of thoughts from your side or some golden nuggets for the SME, MSME leaders or the promoters, founders. So, any wisdom that you would want to share?
Yeah. Today's world is too dynamic. There are too many disruptors in terms of COVID, or disruptors in terms of technology, or disruptors in terms of innovation. So it's very important that you keep abreast of everything what is happening in the world, and then you use all your partnerships, like I always talk, partnerships, collaborations, networking, and surge ahead. Use your investor network in case you require money, and then surge ahead and do your best.
Wonderful. Nalina and RK, please, from both of you as well.
Sure. So there are two specific points which I wanted to add over here. Uh, is it booming? Is it
Yeah, I would request the other participants to mute, please.
all right? Am I audible? All right, thanks. So, one is collaboration is very, very critical since we are running our businesses independently and not under a larger umbrella. It's very critical how we select our partners because it could have a direct implication on the kind of firm that we tend to then get badged, if I may call it. I'm using a subtler word than something I would have otherwise thought of. So it's very critical that we position our business in a manner that we are able to collaborate with people who are, like-minded, ethical, have a strong reputation by themselves, and so on. Because otherwise, the ramification could take us a lot more time trying to fix it. The second thing is it's very critical to have an ombudsperson in some manner. Uh, while large companies insist on it, that MNCs for sure, and even other Indian MNCs as well, have a third party, maybe a well-wisher, who can play that role and not a full time, but visits probably once a quarter, just to take stock. How is your business going, and be candid when that discussion is going on, because ultimately the businesses which have not taken care of their ethics and the way of doing business, however profitable they may be, ultimately the reputation impacts the whole process adversely. So those are my two closing points.
Please go ahead, NRK.
Yes. So I'll put together a very broad perspective as to the role of particularly the board of directors, comprising of independent directors, advisory board, and everybody, right? So particularly if you look at the case of Byju's that has gone down the slippery slope, that has gone down the hill, board of directors, for several years, they have been excellent bystanders. They have been excellent observers of the company going down the drain, right? And they have not actually done anything to arrest that slippery slope, right, of the company. Now, look at a company that was $23 billion, now going at $0 billion, zero right now, right? The company valuation is at zero right now, right? So board of directors have got a very crucial role to play, right? As whistleblowers, if something is going wrong, you cannot just say yes to everything that the company leadership is doing. I'll stop there, given the paucity of time.
Wonderful. I think we had amazing interactions. It was really great speaking to all three of you. Thank you so much for joining us here. And I simply enjoyed the conversation entirely. Thank you for sharing your insights on these critical aspects for the SMEs and the MSMEs. And I'm sure that a lot of them will benefit out of the key discussions that we've had during the conversation. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Neha.
Thanks a lot, Neha. Thanks for this new format as well.
Bye.
You all are perpetually innovating like that.
Yes. Thank
Only
you.
the three women here. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.